Okay, FightHype.com here with Shah Khan, father of former world champion Amir Khan. Shah, obviously we're out in Cali. Your son's training for, another fight, May 29th against Chris Algieri. Before I ask you about that fight, I wanted to ask you, just because I think I read in an interview somewhere, or maybe it was in someone else's video interview, what was the reason why you got Amir and your other son? Why'd you get those guys into boxing?
Well, it's something they enjoy themselves, I mean, when Amir came into the game, he was very hyperactive. He was very young. He was 8-year-old. He was a hyperactive kid. Because he was full of energy, and I just took him to the gym, just to burn his energy. And that's how it all started. And Haroon followed his footsteps. Obviously, when Amir was in the gym, Haroon's a bit younger than Amir. And while Amir was training, he started training and he got into it as well.
Do you remember the moment when you kind of realized, like, my son's pretty good at this, and we might go pro sometime?
No, well, actually, I mean, I never dreamt he'll get this far he has up to now, or even get to the Olympic Games. Initially, obviously, it was just to burn his energy, but as he got older, competitively, he could compete in amateur competition when he was 11. So he had his first competitive competition when he was 11. So, he went on. Mind you, in that first season, he had 6 fights. He won his first 3 fights, Wow. And the next 3 fights he lost. Maybe he was getting too confident and things like that, but he lost. So anyway, the following season, I thought, at the same time, he used to be boxing for Bolton Lads and Girls Club, which it was more of a youth centre as well, not just boxing club. So then I moved him just to a boxing club. I thought maybe, this is what he needs. So anyway, I took him to a boxing club, and he was buzzing there. Like I said, first season he had 6 fights, lost 3. He went in the schoolboy championships. He lost his first schoolboy champion. He got to the finals, lost in the finals. From then on, though, he turned everything around then. He didn't lose a single national title.
Wow.
He boxed for England a number of times. He won the junior ABA title. He won the junior world championships, junior European championships, all major championships he won. The only thing he didn't win was the Olympic Games. He got a silver there. But wherever else he went, he came back with a gold medal.
What was that like, being a parent, basically raising a fighter? Like, were you traveling a lot? Were you, as you mentioned, there were a lot of tournaments and stuff that he won. Was that difficult? I mean, obviously, you've got more than one kid, so.
Yeah. Well, I was very lucky because, I was self-employed. I had my own business, at a quite young age. So I could afford to go wherever Amir fought, as an amateur at his international level, So I was very lucky in that sense. I wasn't working for somebody. When you work for somebody, obviously, it was difficult to get time off. So that was a very, positive for me to go everywhere. And in fact, I've got every fight of his as an amateur on a video because I was there. I was there. Every one of them. When he was, Junior Olympics, when he fought Victor Ortiz, that's on a tape. I've got it on a video. And he won a gold medal there. I've got them all. So, like I said, I was very lucky. I could afford to go everywhere.
Just watching him grow up, obviously, and watching his, his skills improve over the years. I mean, I guess first of all, like, how much did you know about boxing yourself? And then, kind of, as you were watching him, were you able to, see certain things change in him as a fighter?
Well, yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? I love boxing as a sport. I used to watch it. I never boxed myself, but as a sport, I loved it, And I used to watch all the big fights. And at that time, Prince Nazim Ahmed used to be on scene. Ricky Hatton was on scene, And I'll give you an example of how confident Amir was. He was about 12-year-old, and Ricky turned professional when Amir was about 12.
Oh, wow.
So it was an international amateur event in Manchester City's ground, I think it was. Manchester United's ground. It was one of the streets in Man United's ground. It was England against Russia. So Ricky turned pro that year. And the MC at interval says, Ricky Hatton there sat on a table there, just turned professional with Frank. Warren, and you know, he was a great amateur, and watch out for him as a professional. And you know, he just proved he was a good professional as well. So everybody giving him a clap, and you know, youngsters going for a picture and everything. Amir's 12-year-old now,
Right.
Amir goes with the program and gets an autograph from him, and he says to him, Ricky sat on the table, like, you know, and stands side of him, and he says, Ricky, he said, you watch out for me. So Ricky looks up, and this 12-year-old kid, what's this 12-year-old kid? Oh yeah, I said, yeah, what's your name? I said, my name's Amir Khan. He says, do you box? Yeah. He said, who do you box for? I said, I box for Bury ABC. Oh, Mick Jelly, yeah, I know Mick, yeah. So this was having the confidence he has. And I mentioned this to Ricky a number of times, you know.
Right.
I mean, Ricky was on high then, obviously.
Well, of course.
You know, and he don't remember it, but I remember it because I was there with him, you know what I mean? And I'm just saying, this is how confident he was. In his mind, he thought, one day I'm going to be there. When he used to watch the guys like Ricky and Naz, you know.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, I think about it, talk about it, and back of my head, the hair stand up, because this is what he was in his mind then.
Right.
And this is how confident he was, and today, Marshall has made it.
Yeah. Obviously, you know, the business of boxing, you know, there's a lot of politics. There's a lot of landmines that you have to navigate. How difficult was it for you when he made the decision to turn pro to kind of start making the decisions on, you know, who you're going to go with and who you're going to work with and stuff like that? Was that difficult?
Yeah, we had everybody knocking on the door when Amir came back from the Olympics, even before the Olympic Games. You know, when Amir was very young, he was only 17 when he went to the Olympic Games. Yeah. Amir was 16 when he was in the Junior Olympics, when he beat Victor Ortiz. And, you know, when we were there, guys were coming over to us and saying, oh, is Amir going to go for the qualifiers? He's 16-year-old, he's not even turned 17 yet. So they were asking us, oh, is he going to go to the Olympic qualifiers? I said, oh, he's going to be too young. They said, no, when does he, so date of birth, you know. They said, he'll be just old enough. He'll be youngest, one of the youngest, but he said, you know, he'll be able to go. So anyway, I'm talking to our selectors, and our selectors say, oh, no, he's a baby, he's 16, he'll be 17 then, he can't go Olympics, he's a kid, he's not even gone in, he's not even a senior yet. Yeah. And in England, you're not a senior until you're 18, anyway, you know.
Oh, wow.
You can't go in your senior ABA championship until you're 18, although he's won the juniors and everything, won everything, but no seniors. He never had a senior fight. So, anyway, he kept pushing the guys, they kept saying, no, he gets back to England, kept saying, no. Amir's on internet and checking, you know, what's the age limit for the Olympic Games and stuff, you know. And he says, Dad, he's 17, he could go, 17-year-old, he can go, you know. So I rings him again, they say to me again, no. So eventually I said, listen, guys, he's adamant he wants to go. I said, listen, the guy who you got penciled in to go for the qualifiers, have a box up between. He said, well, he's not a senior, you know. He's not even senior. He's not even 17 yet. So
right.
He turned 17 in December, you know. So December 2003. So I said, listen, if you don't send him, we're going to have to take another route or something. You know, we're going to have to do something, you know. So they knew that what route I'd take. Obviously, I was born in Pakistan myself. Right. You know, and they said, listen, we'll see what we can do. Leave it with us and we'll see. So anyway, I guess I called back. Said, listen, we'll try to put him in with the seniors camp. Training camp when he turned 17. So he turned 17 in December the 8th. So they had a senior camp. They take him in for senior camps. After 3 or 4 days, they come back home. And he gets back, and I said, how do you want him? He said, okay, no problem at all, you know what I mean? So anyway, I spoke to the trainers, one of the trainers, England trainers, and they said, yeah, he did well, but listen, still, they said, listen, he's going to be with men in there. He's still a kid, just because he did all right. He said, but what we're going to do, we're going to give him a senior competition now. Take him to a senior competition. But we can't give him in England because he's not a senior. Right. So they took him to Germany. Oh, they had a round-robin tournament there. England, Germany, a couple of other nations, you know. And they had, every fight has 3 fights. Win, lose, you have 3 fights. And they took about maybe half a dozen senior lads. And he was one of them, you know. He was the youngest 17-year-old. And he boxed there, and you know, he had 3 fights, and he was the only guy from England who won all 3 fights. The others, some lost 1, some lost 2, things like that. But Amir was the only one didn't lose a fight. He won all 3 fights, and he beat the guy, the German, who was number 3 in the world. Wow! You know, bronze medalist, number 3 in the world. He was, and he beat him. You know. Wow! So, and you know, before that, before he was going to fight the Germans number 3. I go to the 3rd fight. A guy comes over to me, a couple of guys coming over, and one guy comes over to me, dressed in a suit and everything. And he introduced himself to me. Is it Mr. Khan? I said, yeah, he shakes my hand and everything. He said, Mr. Khan, he was the head of Universal Promotions in Germany. Introduces himself to him. And he said, listen, I've heard a lot about your son. He said, I've only just come here to watch your son today. But he said, if we let him fight, and then after the fight, I'd like to talk to you. I said, yeah, no problem. Obviously, nobody knew what the result's going to be at that time.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
So he goes and beats this guy, number 3 in the world. The guy comes over to me after, and he says, Mr. Khan, he says, we would like to look after Amir Khan now. I said, no. I said, listen, we're thinking of taking him to Olympic. I hope he goes to Olympic qualifiers and qualifies, and then he's still an amateur, you know. He said, no problem, to carry on. As an amateur game, no problem.
Yeah.
But we would like to look after him now. But when he turns professional, come with us.
Right.
So anyway, he gives me his card. He said, give me a call, come down to Germany, have a look at our setup. We've got a nice gym, everything. We will start looking after him from now. And then when he does turn, he can stay as the Olympic qualifier, do the Olympic Games if he qualifies and everything, no problem. But when he turns professional, he comes with us. And we'll start looking after him from now. So anyway, I took his card, he took my number. We went home, back home, England. And a couple of weeks gone by. I didn't ring him. Because I had no intention of him turning pro or anything at the time. But we never thought of it.
Right.
And I get a call from him. Mr. Khan, you were supposed to give me a call. You were supposed to, make sense, arrange something. I said, I'm sorry. Listen, we'll be busy and this, that, which we was. And he said, listen, if you can't come, I'll come to you.
Wow. Wow.
So he took a flight from Germany, come to Manchester Airport, got a meeting room in Manchester Airport in the Hilton. I went. Amir didn't go. Mick Jelly was with us. Amir's amateur coach. And another person. There's 3 of us. Anyway, he's giving us these numbers. We'll give Amir this. This is how much he'll give him for his fight when he turns pro, and all this. And I think, I said, listen, there's no intention of turning pro. I said, listen, doesn't matter when he does. He said, what do you want? So listen, I had no idea, right?
Right.
Whatever numbers he gave me, I just doubled it. And
that's a good way to start.
Yeah, I just doubled it. So I said to him, and he said, okay. And he said, listen, I'll tell you what we'll do. He said, he's a professional fighter. You're offering him this is before he's even gone to the Olympic qualifiers. This is right. I know what these pro guys get today. They don't get a lot of money when they turn over and for the first 4 rounder. You know what I mean? And then they were offering him about £8,000, which is about $12,000.
Wow.
For his 4-rounder fight. He hasn't even qualified for the games. Never mind gone to the games. This is before this, right? And they were offering him that kind of money.
Wow.
So anyway, I said, okay, we'll think about it. And and he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. He said, I'm more than likely I'm going to go be at the Olympic Games. But he said, say he qualifies. He qualifies. He goes to the Olympics. He said, I'll be there. I will have 2 contracts in my pocket. One, he wins no medal at all. He goes to the Olympic Games. And in the other pocket, I'll have a contract with, he wins a medal. And we'll talk about it. I said, no problem. No problem, So anyway, eventually Amir went for the qualifiers because England selectors were happy with him. He won a gold medal there as well, beat number 3 guy in the world. So they said, yeah, I think we'll send him for the qualifiers. Wow. So they sent him to the qualifiers, and he was the only guy who qualified for the Olympic Games. We had 3 qualifiers. Amir qualified in the 2nd qualifier, and unfortunately, none of our other guys qualified in 2004. Amir was the only guy. Yeah. And that's how it started. And when we come back from the Olympic Games, everybody wanted him. Even Barry Hearn, they wanted him. Frank. And I think, in my opinion, Frank was the best option, and Frank did a great job with Amir. And where he is today, Frank Warren did a great job and got him a world title, became a world champion, and it was brilliant.
After I was just listening to, all the success you were talking about that he had, after seeing him have so much success, when he lost that first fight, was that difficult for you to deal with?
Something, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Now, Amir's had 3 losses in total, right? If in any of them 3 fights, if Amir was getting beat up and get stopped, I'd worry about it.
Right.
And I'd be the first one to say, I mean, listen, I think, you know, you've done enough, you achieved enough, let's move on and do something else now, you know. But in all them 3 losses, not once was he getting beat up.
Oh, he was winning.
He was winning. I mean, the thing is, with the Prescott fight, it didn't even last long. He was cold, got caught cold.
That happens.
And one of them things.
Right.
He didn't get beat up. And he got stopped on his feet. He never has he been ever on the floor out cold and got stopped. And Danny Garcia. Again, you know, I think Danny, you watch that fight, Amir was giving Danny a boxing lesson. You know, and he gets caught with a stupid shot again. And then, obviously, he made it through the end of the round. And I think then it was Connor's responsibility to give him instructions and what to do. In my opinion, last they failed. You know, and you know, whatever happened, it happened. You know, I'm not saying it's their fault that he got caught with that stupid shot.
Right.
But obviously that was the making of it. But listen, he's in third, fourth round or something. You know what I mean? He's got, look at it, 7, 8 rounds left behind him, yeah?
Right.
In front of him, you know? So plenty of time, could lose the next 2 rounds. Because Amir, after that knockdown, it was level fight. It was level. Because Amir was 2 rounds up before.
Yeah.
So it was in level terms, you know? So, you know, I think he could have come back, and if he'd recovered right and everything, and, you know, with the right instructions, I think he'd have won that fight. But, you know, things happen, you know. And then, obviously, with Peterson, you know what I mean? We all know what happened there, you know. So, all of them fights, all them 3 losses, to me, he was never getting beat up. Now, if he was getting beat up, yes, I would definitely worry. Yeah, of course I would, and I'll be the first one to say. And I think he's sensible himself, and he himself would say, listen, I think I've achieved enough, and let's move on.
You know, I asked Amir the same question earlier. I ask you, when you see, you know, criticism, not just from fans, you know, because I know fans can be very critical, but when you start seeing like people in the media being critical, saying things like, "Oh, he's got a glass jaw," or you know, this, that, and the other, does that affect you at all, or do you just not pay it any attention?
Well, the thing is, it does annoy you a little bit, to be honest with you. You're just human, aren't you? You know what I mean? Of course it's gonna. But these guys who say these sort of things, in my opinion, I don't think they know the boxing trade. You know what I mean? That's what I say. You know, I mean, he was in with the biggest puncher around, I reckon, the biggest puncher in any division. I think he's the biggest puncher, Maidana, you know what I mean? Yeah, he hurt him in one of the rounds. Yeah, Amir put him down in the first round. Yeah. And if there had been another 10, 15 seconds in that round, Amir would have stopped him because he was hurt in that first round, but the bell saved him, you know what I mean? But, you know, anybody gets caught with a solid shot, no, I don't care who you are, you're going to go down.
Right.
You know. And it's hard to recover, you know. But these things happen.